Mars, known to its inhabitants as Barsoom, was far more complex than what people on Earth believed. It was not a barren, airless world, but a dying planet slowly losing its life. The city of Zodanga was the cause of its decay, consuming the planet's remaining energy. Only the city of Helium continued to resist, fighting desperately against Zodanga's domination.
Only the great city of Helium dared resist.
Just as Zodanga was close to defeat, its ruler received a powerful weapon from the Therns, beings who served the goddess. They promised that if he obeyed their commands, he would rule Barsoom without challenge, and no city would ever overcome him.
Do as we command, and you will rule all of Barsoom.
In 1881, in New York City, a young man received a letter from his uncle asking him to come at once. When he arrived, he found that his uncle had already died and been buried in a tomb that could only be opened from within. Before his death, the uncle had left a will transferring all his wealth to his nephew, along with a journal filled with an incredible story.
Might possibly find some kind of explanation in here.
The uncle, named John, had once served as a cavalry captain. John was imprisoned by a colonel who saw his potential and asked him to join the army. However, John was not willing to accept the offer, so they imprisoned him. He managed to escape, but got caught in a fight with a group of men.
Sir! He stole your horse.
During the fight, his unit was defeated and he fled into a cave. Inside, he found a totem and piles of gold hidden beneath the rocks. Just as he was marveling at the discovery, another man appeared and tried to kill him. John defended himself, shot the stranger, and noticed that the man was clutching a peculiar token while repeating strange words. Curious, John took the token from his hands and repeated the words aloud. Moments later, John woke up in a barren land filled with unfamiliar plants. When he tried to move, he realized the gravity was weaker, allowing him to leap great distances and move with incredible strength. After wandering for a while, he reached a structure buried in sand that contained large eggs, some of which were hatching into green creatures.
Where the hell?
As he examined them, he heard a noise and saw a group of aliens approaching. He tried to flee but was surrounded. Just as he thought they would kill him, they stopped and studied him instead, realizing that he was not one of them. They attempted to communicate, though neither side could understand the other's language.
Jatet Katum. Tars Tarkas.
John tried to mimic the way the aliens spoke, pretending to cooperate. When they lowered their guard, he made a move for a weapon, but before he could do anything, one of them shot him at close range. He was captured and fell unconscious. Elsewhere, the princess of the city of Helium rehearsed how she planned to save Barsoom from Zodanga.
Rubbish.
Goddess, help me, I'm helpless.
Her rehearsal was cut short when the king came with some of his men, worried by the losses they were facing. The king was giving up, believing he had failed his people, but the princess showed him her discovery about the ninth ray and how it could give them unlimited power. However, her research needed more time, which they did not have. Instead, her father gave her another ultimatum. The ruler of Zodanga was willing to spare what was left of Helium in exchange for her hand in marriage. The princess refused, but her father told her that was the only way.
You must find another way!
There is no other way!
John was taken to a ruined city inhabited by many of these creatures. There, the aliens were performing a traditional ceremony to adopt newborns, and John was assigned to a female named Sola, as if he were one of the infants. The clan leader wanted to see John's jumping ability, but his refusal angered them. As punishment, he was treated like the other younglings. They shaved his face, bathed him in an unknown liquid, and threw some kind of powder on him for disinfection. Sola later gave him a strange drink that made him pass out. When he woke up, he was surrounded by the green babies. Seeing no guards nearby, he tried to escape, but a large creature named Woola, acting as a guard dog, blocked his way. Although Woola chased him with incredible speed, it didn't harm him. John ran toward a gathering of the Thark tribe, and when Woola followed, the aliens attacked Woola. Feeling responsible, John intervened and struck one of the Tharks so hard that it stunned everyone. The clan chief realized how strong he was. Soon, John also noticed he could understand their language, which was likely caused by the liquid he had drunk earlier.
I understood you.
However, his sudden outburst caused chaos, and the Tharks quickly overpowered him. Instead of punishing John, they punished Sola, the one who had adopted him, following their custom where caretakers take responsibility for their child's actions. John then understood the reason behind Sola's many scars. Before things could calm down, the guards warned of an incoming attack. The Tharks scattered while their leader hid John.
Enough! You are the stones, the sand!
Moments later, warships appeared in the sky, their design far more advanced than anything John had seen. The Tharks started betting on who was going to win, while their leader explained to John that Mars was home to several races. Among them were the red-skinned people divided into two main cities, Zodanga and Helium. The ship in the sky was from Zodanga, pursuing its enemies, and when the enemy ships refused to surrender, the Zodangan king used the ninth ray to destroy them instantly. The Tharks below watched and cheered at the sight.
If that's how you plan to treat your future bride, it's no wonder she ran from you.
The Zodangan king easily destroyed the enemy's fleet, then began inspecting the wreckage to make sure no one important had escaped. Hidden among the survivors was the Princess of Helium, who had already managed to sneak onto another airship. Her plan to flee failed when the enemy spotted her, and a violent crash between two ships threw her from the deck. Watching from below, John realized she was human and used his powerful leaps to reach her in time, pulling her to safety.
Who is that?
His actions angered the Zodangan soldiers, who rushed to attack, but John avoided them and jumped high into the air. The princess was stunned by how easily he moved. Landing on one of the battleships, John overpowered the crew and took control of its weapon system. He turned the cannons toward the enemy fleet, destroying two more ships. Enraged, the Zodangan king tried to use the ninth ray again, but his messenger stopped him, ordering that John be captured alive.
What's the point of having this thing if I don't get to use it?
The king soon found John, and the two fought directly. Although John was strong, he struggled to adapt to the combat style and lighter gravity, giving the king an advantage. Just as John was about to lose, the Tharks attacked from below, shooting down one of the Zodangan warships. Using the distraction, John leaped back to the ground while the Tharks continued their assault, destroying more ships. Realizing he was outmatched, the Zodangan king ordered a retreat. The Tharks celebrated John's bravery, and their leader honored him as a hero. The princess told the leader of the Tharks that she was building a weapon to defeat the Zodangan people, but the leader pushed her away. She explained that the Zodangans would go after the Tharks once they defeated Helium, but the leader, full of ego, insisted that John would fight for them. At first, John refused, but the leader told him they would not protect the princess otherwise, so he agreed. The princess later approached him, fascinated by his incredible strength and jumping ability. She hoped her people could learn his technique to help Helium win the war, but John explained that it wasn't something that could be taught. During their talk, he learned that the planet he was on was Mars, a discovery that stunned him.
Mars. I'm on Mars.
The princess later guided him to a forbidden temple, said to be linked to Mars's ancient legends. It was believed that a divine messenger could travel between worlds through a stargate. They found signs hinting at this portal, but before they could learn more, the princess made a deal with John. She would help him find a way back to Earth if he agreed to help her escape from the Tharks' captivity.
Go on. Shake it.
Just as they came to an agreement, the Tharks discovered them in the restricted temple. John's violation of their law enraged the tribe, and Sola, who had adopted him, was sentenced to the arena as punishment. The clan leader, furious at John's disobedience, took up a weapon and went after him.
She had no room for another mark. Now, Sola will die because of you.
When the clan leader entered the tent, he silenced everyone and unexpectedly let John go. Sola was actually the daughter of the clan leader. The chief handed John the sacred token, asking only that he take Sola away with him. Soon after, one of the generals outside noticed something unusual. When he opened the tent, it was empty, which angered him. Meanwhile, John, Sola, and the princess began their journey to find the gates of Is. They crossed endless dunes and saw the remains of cities destroyed by Zodanga's greed. Elsewhere, the ruler of Zodanga suggested that the wedding was not necessary since he had already won the battle, but the messenger told him he needed a public spectacle on a grand scale to demoralize the nation. The messenger warned the ruler that if he was not willing to follow orders, he would find another person who would.
We'll see the wisdom in that, then we will find another who can.
On their way, Sola told John that the princess was leading them to Helium instead of the gates of Is. Sola and John confronted the princess and decided to continue their journey without her after discovering she had lied. The princess pleaded, telling them the truth and admitting that she did not want to marry the Zodangan ruler. She told John that the gates of Is were not real. John told her he believed otherwise and decided to take her back. Eventually, John, Sola, and the princess reached the only river on Mars, said to lead to the palace of the goddess. Following its course, they discovered a mysterious structure. When John leaped toward it with the princess in his arms, the token he carried began to glow, and a hidden passage appeared beneath them. They followed it inside the temple. Inside, the princess realized that what seemed divine was actually advanced technology. When she placed the token on the ground, blue light filled the room and formed a massive star map. John stepped on the section representing Mars, triggering lines of light that connected different planets.
What's it say?
I'm not sure.
Okay, what do you think it says?
Among them was one leading to Earth, accompanied by strange writing. With the princess's help, John understood that he was not in his original human body, but rather in a form resembling a copy or projection. The princess told him to translate the writing she needed to access charts and other materials found in Helium. She tried to convince John to fight for the people of Helium. They shared a kiss, which brought back a flashback for John from his previous life with his wife.
Right. And where might we find those?
Before they could study further, an explosion shook the temple. Outside, an army of Tharks, led by their rival tribe, the Warhoon, had surrounded the area under the command of the Thurn messenger. John quickly carried the princess back to the ship, and they fled along the river. The Warhoon forces pursued them relentlessly. When escape seemed impossible, John told Sola to take the princess and run while he stayed behind to fight. He faced the attackers head-on, cutting through them with incredible strength, while Wula, his loyal hound, fought beside him. Despite their efforts, they were heavily outnumbered, and John began to tire. Just as he was about to be overwhelmed, a warship appeared above them, firing powerful blasts that scattered the enemy ranks. The Warhoon forces were crushed under the advanced weaponry. When the smoke cleared, the ship revealed the emblem of Helium. The princess ran to it, reuniting with her father, the king. Their relief was short-lived when the Zodangan king emerged from the ship. He offered a truce on one condition. The princess must marry him to end the war. For the sake of her people, her father reluctantly accepted the deal. When John regained consciousness, he found himself in Zodanga. Soon after, a guard arrived, saying the princess had summoned him. Using his leaping ability, John went directly to her residence. Once they were alone, the princess told him she was about to marry the Zodangan king. She asked him to stay in Barsoom and fight with them. Otherwise, she would have to marry the Zodangan king. She waited for his reaction, but John said nothing. Seeing his silence, she understood his feelings. She returned the token to him and recited the spell that could send him back to Earth. Just as she finished speaking, the Zodangan king entered. The princess turned, and John was already gone. Believing he had left, she stood in the empty room, feeling devastated.
Yes. Yes, of course.
In truth, John had not used the last part of the incantation. He hid quietly above the room, torn between leaving and staying. He had grown attached to the princess and could not bring himself to abandon her. Before he could act, a mysterious woman appeared in his sight. As she approached, John's body froze in place, and her face shifted to reveal the true form of the Thurn messenger.
No.
During their exchange, the messenger revealed knowledge of John's origin, explaining that the Thurns were beings who controlled planets for their amusement. Using strange powers, he restrained him and prepared to have him executed. The Thurns could alter their forms and manipulate the ninth ray to control others. They started wars and altered history across worlds simply to pass the time. Mars, he said, was one of their playgrounds. Their plan had been to unite the Zodangan king and the princess through marriage, solidifying their control. Finally, the Thurn revealed the full plan. After the wedding, when the two moons collided, anyone with knowledge of the ninth ray would die. With his abilities gone, John watched the princess go down the streets with her soon-to-be husband. The messenger revealed they were immortal beings who did all this without any purpose. The messenger decided that John had to be removed. As the messenger was about to transport John away, Wula suddenly burst in, catching the Thurn off guard. The creature attacked, allowing John to regain control of his body. Seizing the chance, John took the Thurn's token and escaped on a flying machine, though he had never flown one before. Wula followed closely on the ground, moving as fast as ever.
I shot one of you back on Earth.
As John struggled to pilot the craft, enemy soldiers pursued him. They were about to shoot when one of them was struck down from afar. It was Sola, who had come to rescue him. Together, they returned to Thark territory, but when John arrived, he discovered that the general had already staged a rebellion, imprisoning both him and the clan chief in the arena. The general announced that the two would be torn apart by beasts. When John told the chief he had brought Sola with him, the leader became furious, and in no time, John and the chief were taken to the arena.
All this your work?
Dance.
Released into the arena were enormous, eyeless white apes, the most feared creatures on Mars. One charged at John, knocking him and the chief aside. The wounded leader couldn't rise, so John tried to distract the beasts using the chains on his feet. He attempted to break them, but they were too strong. The impatient general ordered a second monster to be released. The two apes fought briefly, then turned their attention back to the captives. Sola leapt into the arena to protect her father, accompanied by another Thark who forced her to witness her father's final moments. The other Thark was killed instantly by one of the beasts. Enraged, John broke free, using his strength to swing a massive stone into one of the apes, crushing it. He then rushed to aid Sola's father, striking down the second monster with her weapon. The general, realizing the tide had turned, panicked as the crowd watched John emerge from the apes' corpses alive. The Tharks began to chant his name, calling him their greatest warrior. John challenged the general to single combat, declaring that any leader who refused to fight was a coward unworthy of command. The general accepted, but was swiftly defeated. John decapitated him with one blow. Elsewhere, the princess prepared to marry the Zodangan king. The Thurn messenger reminded the king that the real prize was Barsoom, not the princess. John and his allies marched towards Zodanga, breaking through the city's walls, only to find it completely deserted. The Thurn messenger had anticipated their attack and moved the royal wedding to Helium. The Thark leader, after scolding John for charging ahead, decided to head to Helium himself, while the rest of his warriors followed in warships to provide backup. By the time John reached Helium, the wedding ceremony was already in progress. He burst into the hall aboard a flying craft and exposed the Zodangan king's deceit. Realizing the plan had been revealed, the Thurn ordered the king to begin his assault. Chaos erupted as soldiers from both sides clashed. Outside the city, the Zodangan army received the signal to attack, flooding into Helium. Outnumbered and unprepared, Helium's defenders were quickly overrun. During the battle, the Zodangan king found John and tried to kill him for ruining his schemes. Just as John was cornered, Thark reinforcements crashed through the castle walls, turning the fight. Together, the Tharks and Helium forces pushed back the invaders, eventually forcing Zodanga's troops to retreat. John captured the Zodangan king alive, intending to question him about the Thurns. But before he could, the Thurn messenger killed the king and transformed into John's likeness to steal the teleportation token. John caught on and attacked, but the Thurn escaped. With Helium's victory secured, the Thurn's plans collapsed. John finally confessed his love to the princess, and they were married in front of both their people. Deciding he no longer needed to return to Earth, John threw away the teleportation token. But before he could reach the palace, a disguised Thurn soldier used the token with the spell on him, sending his consciousness back to Earth. When he awoke, his earthly body was lifeless and rigid. Struggling to move, he tried to reach the teleportation altar, but without the token, nothing happened. Stepping outside the cave, he looked toward Mars glowing faintly in the night sky, now millions of kilometers away.
Like a fool, I had thrown away my medallion.
Over the next 10 years, John dedicated his life to finding another way back. He searched ruins, chased myths, and studied prophecies until he finally discovered a new token. Knowing the Thurns had been watching him even on Earth, he entrusted his story and belongings to his nephew, leaving instructions in his journal.
Please send for the doctor.
Yes, sir.
You are the key. This is the task I entrust to you along with all my fortune.
When the nephew realized the truth, he rushed to John's sealed tomb to make sure his uncle's body was safe. He used the name John had left him to activate the hidden mechanism, but as the heavy door creaked open, someone behind him raised a dagger. The tomb was empty. A gunshot echoed through the chamber, and John had returned. He explained that his death had been faked using a special toxin and that he had set a trap for the Thurn to steal their token. What he had found earlier was not the token, but the toxin that allowed him to stage his own death. With his plan complete, John said goodbye to his nephew, declaring it was time to take his rightful place as the guardian of his own grave and finally return home to Mars.
I was just bait.
Oh, soon.